Hey everyone, and welcome to today's explainer lesson. Today we're going to unlock some serious secrets of language and get you a real practical academic superpower. You know, as 8th graders, you're definitely starting to run into tougher, much more complex reading material. The paragraphs are getting longer, the concepts are a lot deeper, and man, the vocabulary is getting intense. But don't worry, because by the end of our time together, you're going to have the exact tools you need to make reading those texts an absolute breeze. You won't just be reading, you'll literally be decoding. So, tell me if this sounds familiar. Have you ever hit a massive, totally unfamiliar word in your science book or a literature assignment and just felt stuck? We've all been there, right? You run into this giant, confusing word that looks basically impossible to read, and it's incredibly intimidating. It's kind of like staring at a brick wall right in the middle of a sentence. Sometimes you honestly just want to skip over it and hope it wasn't on the test. But today, I'm going to show you how to crack those words like a master code breaker. We're going to learn how to see the secret patterns hiding right inside the letters.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. First, the power of words. Second, breaking down syllables. Third, the story of origins. Fourth, connecting roots to meanings. Fifth, your turn to practice. And finally, number 6, our godly learner philosophy. We're taking a journey from the basic building blocks of syllables all the way to how understanding language actually honors God.
Okay, let's jump right into section 1, the power of words. Why do we even need a concrete strategy for our vocabulary in the first place?
Well, Proverbs 24:6 tells us, "For by wise guidance you can wage your war, and in abundance of counselors there's victory." Just like this scripture reminds us that we need wise guidance for victory in life, we absolutely need a wise strategy to confidently tackle difficult language. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't just walk onto a soccer field without a game plan, right? And you wouldn't try to beat a super difficult level in a video game just by mashing random buttons. Language is the exact same way. When you face a tough text, you shouldn't just be guessing. You want to go in with a tactical, calculated plan for victory.
Let's move on to section 2, breaking down syllables. This is where we get into the actual mechanical strategy of pulling words apart.
So our very first tool here is syllabication. Now that's just a fancy way of saying we are dividing words into smaller parts or syllables. And here's the key. Each of these little parts contains a vowel sound. And breaking them up like this massively aids both your pronunciation and your spelling. It's helpful to think of syllables as the individual building blocks of a word. Every single word out there has at least one building block. So when a word looks gigantic and scary, knowing exactly where to break it apart is your absolute best first step to reading it aloud in class with total confidence. You are taking control of the word instead of letting the word control you.
Let's put this into action. If you try to swallow a big word whole, it might trip you up, but let's chop it up. Information. That's 4 distinct syllables. Listen to how clearly we can pronounce and spell information when we just stop panicking and break it down into 4 manageable chunks. You're basically disarming the word, piece by piece. Suddenly, this big, complicated string of letters is just 4 tiny, super easy-to-read sounds linked together. All right, on to section 3, the story of origins. Breaking words down mechanically is awesome, but now let's uncover the hidden stories inside of them.
Enter etymology. Now, I know that sounds like a big, intimidating academic term, but it is actually fascinating. It is simply the study of word origins. It's about finding the clues to where a word comes from and exploring its history. Etymology lets you see the deep connections between words, rather than just forcing you to memorize them all by themselves. It's kind of like realizing 2 completely different words are actually cousins from the exact same family tree, or uncovering the secret superhero origin story of the vocabulary you use every single day.
But why study this at all? Because God created language as a powerful tool for truth and for connection. By deeply understanding these word origins, you can communicate with incredible clarity and avoid some major misunderstandings. As an 8th grader, you are really starting to find your voice right now. You can use your speech to encourage your friends, to teach others, and to lead in ways that deeply honor God. Your words are powerful tools, and understanding exactly where they came from helps you wield them wisely.
Let's see how this all builds together in section 4, connecting roots to meanings. We're going to look at exactly how knowing an origin helps you guess a word's meaning, even if it's completely brand new to you.
What's really wild here is the pattern that emerges when we start acting like language detectives. Let's break down a few examples. Take the word telephone. It actually comes from the Greek tele, meaning far, and phone, meaning sound. Put them together, sound from far away. It makes perfect sense. How about aquarium? Well, the Latin aqua means water, and arium means a place for. Literally a place for water.
And finally, chronology. In Greek, chronos is time, and logi is the study of time. You see, when you know these Latin and Greek root codes, the definitions just reveal themselves effortlessly. You don't even need a dictionary to crack the code. The word practically tells you what it means.
Okay, let's move right along to Section 5, your turn to practice. You've got the tools in your tool belt, so now it is time for your code-breaking mission. Make sure you knock out these 5 specific steps for homework to practice your new syllabication and etymology skills. First up, break 5 brand new words into syllables. Second, grab a dictionary and hunt down the origin of 2 totally unfamiliar words. Third, I want you to figure out the exact meaning of the word photograph using its origins. Really think about what photo and graph might mean based on what we just learned today. Fourth, identify a word with a Latin origin from whatever book you're currently reading. And finally, pick 1 Greek root and find 3 modern words that come from it. Take your time with these, use your resources, and really apply the strategies we just talked about.
But before we finish up today's explainer lesson, I want you to pause for a second and ask yourself a crucial question. Why does this knowledge actually matter to your faith? Why does becoming a vocabulary master matter to your daily walk with Christ? Because I promise you, it goes way, way beyond just getting a good grade in English class.
Which brings us perfectly to our final stop, Section 6, the Godly Learner Philosophy. This right here is the absolute core of why we learn everything we do.
Here at HeroesMart Academy, we purposely intertwine biblical morality with our education, because the truth is, education without morality can actually hurt. Getting smarter and gaining intelligence shouldn't just make you a more capable student, it should equip you to make wise, God-honoring choices in the real world. Romans 8:6-7 teaches us that keeping the mind spiritually minded leads to life and peace. So as you pursue academic excellence and expand that vocabulary of yours, always remember to keep your mind centered on God, on truth, on wisdom, and on righteous choices. As you're cracking the codes of massive new words this week, I want you to ask yourself, are you just going to be someone with a big vocabulary, or are you going to use your newly unlocked words to speak truth, bring peace, and actually change the world around you? Something to think about. See you next time.